Sonny, would you and your beautiful wife please come forward?
Would you hold these for me, Mom?
You go first.
I'm going to begin. When we started planning to have this combined 10-year service anniversary and pastor appreciation, I asked all the deacons to send me by email a word that came to mind when they thought about what they appreciated about Sonny. And I have that on here. No, I'm not teasing you now. I'm being serious. He's so used to being ribbed by Marty that. And when I started working on that, I read through the things that people had said, and I thought, if Sonny were ever to plan a plaque for me of what he thought of that he appreciated, or even more so, if he were to plan a plaque for all of us as 10 years as his congregation, I so hope that this could be said because although the roles are very different, the role of congregation member and the role of the pastor are very different, falls on all of us to build relationship in the same way. And that's what came across so much to me in the things that people had to say. And so we have this to give to Sonny to remember today, and it reads, compassion, honesty, energy, kindness, patience, faithfulness, dedication, understanding. For these and for 10 years as our pastor, the Reverend Sonny Gallman, Central Baptist Church, October of 2018. Thank you, Sonny.
Thank you. Thank you for coordinating that. Thank you very much.
The pretty one comes first. Melissa, the people of this church and I appreciate you for your work with the youth and the personal compassion you show to each of the youth. We appreciate the way you and Pastor Sonny work together to get more done for the church. And you do this while working full-time and taking care of 6 children. Number 1, this is from the deacons. You can open it later.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Pastor Sonny, I don't know where to start. That you are always late and running behind because you are trying to do too much with too few hours in the day, that you seem tired a lot because you got up at 4 a.m. for weeks to take a youth to work trying to help him have a stable life, that you work hard with the deacons, church council, and every committee that asks you for your help and try to keep the church going in a good direction with God leading you. You lead us with your sermons, your smile, your example of showing the homeless, the down and out, the hurting, that they matter, and assuring them that you care, the church cares, and God loves them. Personally, to me, you're an example of what a man should be. You are a wonderful son, father, and husband. You work hard at that job, taking children to school, their activities, getting them home, trying to find alone time with Melissa, and doing all this while pastoring our church. You are my pastor, counselor, confidant, and my go-to man. And I and the church appreciate you for all this, but I appreciate you most for being my friend. I love you.
Oh. Thanks, bud. Thank you, Marty. Thank you. This is pretty cool, although I want to remind the deacons that this is made out of glass, and I have 5 children, so this might stay in my office. Thank you. 10 years is an accomplishment, but it's never an accomplishment assigned to one person. Serving for 10 years in a Baptist church is a rarity. It requires involvement and investment on behalf of the church to want to make a pastorate work and be successful. It requires leadership that is devoted to discerning the leadership of God, devoted to building and maintaining the community of faith, and devoted to investing in one another. I can say that both in terms of staff and in terms of volunteer leadership, I have been fortunate enough to experience all of this. So I say thank you to the people of Central Baptist Church for loving me and my family. Through 2 new births, through growing pains and commitments in our family. I say thank you to those who have served on the pastor relations team, who have heard me out through many issues and things that we have faced during my years as pastor here. I say thank you to those who have served as deacon chairs, committee chairs, and on different committees. I say thank you to those who have stood with me when difficult decisions had to be made. I say thank you to the staff who have put up with me and my scatterbrain, helping me out when I need it and allowing me to help when I can. I say thank you, I'm going to cry here, to my family, to parents that taught me the value of consistency and commitment, that showed me that what success in ministry and family looks like, that they look different from what the rest of the world thinks that they are. To children who did not sign up for this, yet week after week find their own journey while being on display as pastors' kids, who let me use them in sermon illustrations week after week, and who lead in worship and ministry in their own way. And most of all, to my wife, who sees me at my worst and at my best and still says, I love you at the end of every day. Who listens to all of my celebrations and frustrations with the church and yet still finds her own way with faith while being supportive of my own journey. Finally, to God, who let me pick up the phone while I was at the mall in Lithonia, Georgia, on a Friday afternoon, my day off, to hear Ted Boer on the other end of the line, and gave me the strange warming in my heart that led me to this church. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. And will you all remain standing, because you're invited to come over and tell the funny stories and the humiliating stories over there in Adams Hall, and I hope that you will, because I need to be brought down a notch after this. Go from this place in God's grace and God's joy. Amen and amen.
God our Father, we thank you for many blessings, we got, amen.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful.
Sonny, this is because I love you so much. Okay. To Sonny, celebrating 10 years at Central. 10 years at Central? Could that really be true? It seems only yesterday we caught sight of you. We'd been through some turmoil and didn't know where God would lead us until He answered our prayer. A young man and his family who thought us not odd came to lead us and love us and draw us closer to God. The family grew and grew and grew. There were more of the Gallmans we learned to love too. It hasn't been easy, at least not all the time. We have our opinions, and sometimes we whine. But Sonny, you're special. To God and us, you are true. We thank you, dear Pastor, and we truly love you.
Just before deacons meeting, I was sitting next to Sonny, and I asked him how old Lee was, and he told me, and there was just a few years difference between Lee and I. And I looked at Sonny and I said, Sonny, do you know what that means? He said, what? I said, you could have been my son. And he just, the blood went out of his face. His mouth opens. He did a Catholic cross. And then he just, I said, what was that for, Sonny? He said, God really loves me. I said, why? He said, you're not my father. I said, okay. And the other one was, when I first got my smartphone, Sonny told me, he said, now you don't have to call me every day. Now you can text me. So my first text to Sonny was, please call me ASAP.
Hi, for a lot of you, you don't know who I am. My name is Mike O'Sullivan, and I'm a deacon. And I'm a deacon because Sonny kind of wanted me to be one for a while, and I wouldn't. So all I can say right now is, go Gators! Well, if you hadn't have done that, I was going to say something good about his team, too. I guess, are you a Georgia fan? Who do you root for, lady? Oh, FS who? But anyway, I will also say go Dogs, just for Sonny. Because we took him up there to the Georgia game for what, 6 or 7, 8 years, and we really enjoyed it, and he was a perfect guest. He never got obnoxious like most of the Georgia people do. Not to be confused with Florida fans, who are they're as obnoxious as they come. But we had a lot of fun. And Sonny, I must say that we're going to miss you in 2 weeks. We're going to miss you going up with us, but we'll get it, maybe going again. But I'm not going to say anything bad. The only thing I can say is I have thoroughly enjoyed our Wednesday nights. That's probably the main reason that I'm still a member at this church. So keep it up and stay here. Thank you, sir. You thought I was going to be bad, didn't you?
Well, you know, working with children, we like acronyms. So I thought about what could I say, what should I say today? And so I thought I'd spell out Sonny and see what you think of this. S is for sincere. I don't think anyone can doubt that his sincerity in all things. Now O, I could think of lots of nots for O. I thought, well, he's not ordinary. He's definitely unique. He's not overly serious, which is a good thing. He's not obstinate, that is, most of the time. He's not really orderly, but then neither am I. But what he always is outreaching, which is, I think, probably one of the most important characteristics for a pastor. He's always reaching out to others. Now, when I got to the ends, there's two ends, double ends, double negatives. So I thought, well, he's never negative. So there's my two ends. And for why, I chose yielded to the work of the Spirit. It's been an inspiration to me. So, Sonny, thank you for these good 10 years, for the inspiration and encouragement that you've given me, and for the opportunities that you've afforded me. May you be blessed for 10 wonderful more.
Marty asked us, the deacons, at our meeting to say, think of something funny for Sonny at the dinner. So I'm thinking, and really, Sonny's so serious when I approach him. But I remember one time when I first became a deacon and we're serving communion, so serious, we had to sit down when he told us to sit down, stand up. So sometimes we goof up. But this particular time, and nothing on the wonderful ladies that do the communion trays, you do a beautiful job. But this particular time, I'm over here, the last one, gets down here, and he picks it up, and he went, and his eyes, I swear, came out and went back. The tray was empty. There was no juice in the tray. And from my perspective, I could see him. It reminded me of those Halloween eyes that come out and jiggle, because he just went like, what? But anyhow, we all kind of put our trays over, and we filled the other tray up, and nothing lost. But that was the funniest thing. That's all.
This is going to be easy. One of the surprises I had when I got to Central was to stand beside Sonny in the choir and listen to him sing. Now, I come from a very musical family. My family both my parents played the piano, my sister played the piano, and my family would get around and we'd all sing, and Daddy would sing tenor and I'd sing bass, and one was a soprano and my sister was a soprano. My Chip would join in and sing alto, and we'd sing old hymns and things like that. We had a great time together. Sonny never wanted to do that. He was ready to go outside and play ball, always play ball. One time, though, in the church in Chicago, he was invited to sing a solo and he wouldn't do the solo. So he got his friend, Nathan, to sing with him. Only thing is, they kind of fed off each other.
They were 14.
14 years old. And they began to sort of sing the song, and they missed the rhythm a little bit, and they got tickled in the middle of the song, and they just started laughing, and we sort of got through, but I'm not sure Beth Galata, who directed the play, ever really asked him to do anything again. So that was about the last time that I heard Sonny try to sing a solo. Because every time I'd say, you want to sit down and let me teach you something about music, he wanted to play ball. That was his thing, was playing ball all the time. So when I got into the choir and sat beside him, he not only was singing on tune, but he was singing tenor, and he was reading the notes and all. And I scratched my head trying to think, where in the world did he learn that? I didn't teach him that. He must have learned it from somebody else, or else osmosis just lay it in, and he got it by osmosis. But that was a funny time with him, and it was a wonderful time for me to come and sit beside him and look at how much he learned without me teaching him anything.
Oh, well, my sidekick's not here, so I can't play off of Nancy today. But, you know, Sonny's always been very serious with me, and I appreciate that. So when we were asked for a word, one of the words that I gave Laura, because I couldn't figure out any other way, is Sonny is human. He is not pious. He is not above us. He's human. And I appreciate that because he knows where we are. Thank you, Sonny.
Well, I can tell you there's only one really cute story because he's always gone. And he's gone visiting you and visiting you and visiting you and anybody that's in the hospital or at home. And so that makes him late sometimes. So every Tuesday when he goes to teach his class, and he's really faithful about teaching this Bible class, he'll text me and say, I'll be there in about 5 minutes. Or I'm over here and I'll be there, or would you tell him I'm going to be about 15 minutes late? So one Tuesday he came in about 8:15. So he's getting coffee at 10:30 and there's nobody here. And he said, well, I didn't cancel. What happened? And I said, Sonny, you're late so often they thought the class started later.
Oh, hello. Let's see. Well, I was going to church in Port Orange for quite a few years. And then I kind of moved over to this way, and I thought, and then my car started to really not act right. So I thought, well, what am I going to do now? And I started going to First Baptist, but somebody there, I don't know, it didn't make me feel that welcome. So I thought, I don't know if I'm up for that. So I thought I could try and wake up and go. And I started on my way walking down the street. And then I turned the corner because I thought, oh yeah, what about that one church? Because see, at the time they had this daycare. And I went and interviewed. I thought, what about that place where I interviewed at? Why don't I try that today? And you know what happened? I never left. Because everybody at one point assumed that I knew Sonny and Melissa before because I was always sitting with them. And my first Sunday here, they were very welcoming, and well, I never left. And at the time, I got involved a little bit with like the children's ministry and the nursery, and then I was told to join the choir, and then yeah, and then I'm glad I stayed. And Sonny, you're outstanding. And then and it's like this, when you really need your pastor to talk to him, whatever it is that you're going through at the time, he's right there. And he's very open-minded, and he'll say, well, we'll stick by you, whatever you decide to do. And this year has been very dreadful for me. And he let me have the funeral for Patrick here. and it was very nice. And church and Sonny, I don't think I would have been able to get through it as well if it hadn't been for you in this church. It just wouldn't have happened.
I've known Sonny longer than anyone else here. And I can tell you a lot of things. But I won't. But I just want you to know that I want to set a story straight. Dot Parker and I, these two innocent old ladies, went up to Atlanta to attend the New Baptist Covenant meeting. We were planning to go, and as the events occurred, it was an opportunity to go up and have the first interview with Sonny. And it was really quite interesting because it was almost time for lunch. We had already had a conference with one of the most leading pastors in the convention, and we had been given the news from him that it was well known that Central Baptist was a troublesome church. Well, we already knew that, and but it was surprised that it was a story that was being spread. But at any rate, we met, and I think he's told you that we took him to a bar for lunch. It's not true. He took us to a bar. And as it turned out, we took Richard back to the same bar to have lunch the next day to explain to him. But the food was very good there, and the drinks were adequate. But we had a long talk in that bar, probably a couple of hours we talked. And I can tell you the real reason why he came here. It's because of who he is. I have never seen him turn a back on anyone who had a problem because of the problem. And after we talked and we discussed what some of the problems that we had been through and were still in at the time, I think he got more interested in us. So the more problems we had, the more interest he had, and the more concern that he had for us. And out of that concern, he became very interested, and we got him down here, and the motorcycles were roaring all around that weekend. And that may have piqued his interest too, I don't know. But at any rate, out of our sharing each other with our concerns, and he shared with us what he thought might be, everybody knows because he's told everybody he had ADHD, and that might be a disqualifier for him. But my husband, before he died, his most recent research was ADHD children in the public schools and the needs that they had. And at any rate, it's been a most interesting walk with you in different capacities, and I'm looking forward to the next 10 years.
Dot, I beg to differ with you. I am the person in the room that has known him the longest. And I have lots of stories I could tell, but I won't. I will just say that it's been delightful keeping 5 grandchildren and knowing that payback has come. Karma has arrived for Sonny. One of my favorite memories of him, this is not a funny one, this is just him, is back before seatbelts. We would take the long drive from our church in Chicago back to Birmingham. And he was the only child at that time. So for that 13-hour drive, he would lean over the front seat and the questions would start. And they were always about faith and about God and about church and about social issues that were going on and what could he do about them at 5 years old. And I remember the delight of those trips, but also the challenge of how to answer some of the questions that he was able to come up with at that time. Another favorite memory deals with his persistence. You know, he was a baseball player, and he was, I guess it was your junior year, Sonny, when you were pitching, and Lee and I tried to get to as many games as we could. So we got there just after the game had started, just in time to see a golf cart carrying a player off of the field. And I told Lee, I said, "That's Sonny." He said, "That's not Sonny." I said, "That is Sonny." And what had happened is he was usually pitching or catching, but that time he was playing, I believe it was third base. And somebody socked one and hit him right in the eye. And it was enough that they said they could hear it in the next ball field, and it felled him. He just fell over. So I saw him coming, holding that eye, and one of the coaches said, I kept saying, "Does he wear contacts? Does he wear contacts?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "He managed to get out, yes." And so they were able to get the contact out of his eye. Well, the eye doctor said, he has to lie flat still. He cannot do anything. And I can remember for 3 days, he lay on the couch and just was still. And finally, one day, he kind of turned his head and he said, "Mom, do you think you could get me some pitching videos from the store?" And that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to relearn, and that's what he did. And he got right back on that field. And I think that's kind of the story of who he is. He gets right back up and goes back into it. So I'm proud of you, son.
Sonny, you can give me a minute. You got to sit down, okay? Okay. When I first came here, I was looking for a church to go to. And so, the Lord led me here. Then I met a few people here. And for 2 years, everybody thought I was a member. And I think Sonny remembers it. And when I got ready to join the church, everybody was shocked, like, "We thought you was already a member." I say, "I've been here, but I'm not a member." And then one day, Fred and I was having a conversation, and Sonny came in there, and I think caught part of it, and he was a little offended. He thought Fred was saying something wrong to me. So I said, "No, Sonny, this is Life Tree. You're supposed to express what you feel." And so he said, "Well, I was kind of offended." I said, "For what?" I said, "If you express what you feel, you can't be mad." But you know we love Sonny. Even though you were sleepy, you wear yourself out. You're driving down the highway one day, the highway patrol got behind you, thought you were drunk. He said, "Hey, Sonny." He put him on and said, "Excuse me, sir, can I see your license?" Sonny passed him his license. Like that, he said, "Sir, I can't help but notice what you got in that bottle." He says, "Water saves the Sonny." So the highway patrol said, "Can I see that bottle?" So he takes it, he sniff it, pass back, "It smells like wine." Sonny said, "Let me see it." Sonny said, "Yep." He said, well, can I taste it? So he tasted it. He said, tastes like wine. Sonny said, yes, it does. He said, well, what's up with this? He said, well, he's done it again.
So, over the last 3 people, you have heard that I love to drink wine while I'm driving, that I don't know how to catch a ball when it is hit at me, and that my only way that I can get a job is to get 2 ladies drunk. That's what you've heard over the last 3. I kind of want to correct some of those, but that's okay. I'll let you live with the man, the myth, and the legend, and you can figure out what the truth is. I just want to say, in as many ways as I can, thank you for being Central Baptist Church. Dot is right. When we sat down at that restaurant that served drinks in Atlanta, the first words that they said, just about after we had said and greeted one another, was, we just got done with a meeting with this other man who said that everyone in the CBF says that our church is toxic. And she's exactly right. Instead of me running the other way, that piqued my interest. And that story reminded me that one of the things that I decided when I became pastor was to be as real and as genuine as I possibly can, including not trying to cover up my faults, not trying to cover up, my disorganization, not trying to cover up, that this is wrong or that's wrong about who I am. And I knew that the other part of that was that the church was going to have to be honest about who it was. And the honest truth is that over the last 10 years, we have learned how to be honest with each other. The church has learned how to be honest with itself. I have learned further how to be honest with you. I've made my mistakes. We've all made our mistakes together. And yet here we are, finding ourselves as community. We find ourselves invested in one another's lives. We find ourselves invested not only in the present of Central Baptist Church, but the future of Central Baptist Church. And I'm grateful for those who are looking forward to not only me serving as pastor for the next 10 years, but the next 10 years for our church together. That means something. There are a lot of churches that are in our world today that don't know if they're going to make it for another 2 years. But we have faith, we have trust in one another, but more important, we have trust and faith in the presence and the power of God, that we will be the church together and we will be on this journey together. So I'm grateful that I have been able to share in this honest journey with you. I'm grateful that you have supported me through all of my shortcomings and all of my mistakes. I'm grateful for all of the grace that you have afforded to my family and I as I have figured out what it means to be the father of 5 and also be a husband of 1 and also be a son of 2 and also be a pastor to many. You have shown me great grace. So as you have said, thank you today for 10 years of pastoring, I say to you, thank you for 10 years of being my brothers and my sisters. You have been fellow companions along this journey, and I am grateful, so grateful to God that I answered that phone call and that my heart was warmed and that I said yes. I am grateful for that. So thank you very, very much. I appreciate it.